That is very, very rude. I am not a fan of that. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another free trading game collection episode. If you've missed any of the previous, then go back and check them out. There's a playlist with all of them in there. I'm not doing that because I want more views. I'm doing it because you're just going to be lost. You're not going to have a clue. Briefly, I will tell you that the way we acquire things for free here is we will go out and buy a deal. So, for example, a Mega Drive and a load of games, and then we'll sell part of that deal to make the money back that we've just spent. So if it costs, I don't know, £30, as if anyone could get a Mega Drive and a load of games for £30. But it costs us £30, we sell a couple of things to make the £30 back, and then the rest of it either goes into the collection or we take it into CEX 9 times out of 10 and we trade it in. Why? So that they could give us credit so that we could get the games we actually want to put on the shelf. That's generally the way it works. Of course, it doesn't have to be a deal. So in previous episodes, and in a lot of previous episodes, I will pick up games here, games there, games there, games there, and then maybe one big item that pays for the whole thing. You know, just a combination of that. So go back and check out the other episodes if you want to be caught up. For those who are in the know, you can indeed get a Mega Drive with loads of games for 30 quid, because we did it last week. It was $34.69 to be precise. That's including postage. It came with 14 games. It was a boxed Mega Drive, as you can see. What a deal. We're going to go through that deal today because some of it is obviously going to be kept, some of it is going to be sold, and some of it is going to be traded. So, yeah, we'll go through it. The only pickup that I have besides that Mega Drive pickup today is 2 PlayStation 4 games. Now, unfortunately, I did have them, and I made the video of me showing, hey, these are the games, and then for some reason I can't find the footage. So, yeah, unfortunately, you're going to have to make do with the listings. So they are, I mean, it was a £5 for 2 games delivered, which I thought was pretty good. They both traded in for 8 each. So that was, 5 into 16. I thought, not bad. Mega Drive will pay for that, of course, because, we only have to sell one game in that Mega Drive bundle to pay for the whole thing. It was that cheap. So I wasn't that bothered. I thought it made sense. Nice £11 profit on the trade, really. They arrived, they're in good condition. I showed them off. Unfortunately, they arrived on Tuesday, and I didn't get a chance to go to CEX until Friday. I checked the values of them on Wednesday. I checked the values of them on Thursday. Didn't check the value on Friday because I went first thing. I got there, and they gave me the price, and I was like, hang on, that doesn't quite add up. I said, yeah, anyway. Looked at the receipt. One of them traded in for 6. It is becoming a theme for me to be able to pick things up for certain prices, but by the time I take them in, they've dropped in price. It happens so often. Fortunately, the game I wanted was originally a set price and had dropped £2 by the time I picked it up in today's episode. So, it swings and roundabouts, I guess, on that occasion. But I do need to be careful. Being, sort of working things out, picking deals up and then just leaving them on the shelf until I can be bothered to go and do it is dangerous because prices fluctuate daily. I've seen Hitman, and I might even talk about this later on. I've seen Hitman 3 on the PS... is it Hitman 3? Hitman on the PS5. I've seen it go from 35 down to 22, and now it's back up to 25. I'm a little bit worried it's going to just continue to rise now. But I'm just not sure. Anyway, prices fluctuate. That's the moral of the story. In today's episode, we'll go through all the Mega Drive stuff. That PlayStation bundle is unfortunately now traded in, so you can't see it, but that's that. Let's add a substantial amount of money to this collection. We're in CEX, we're looking around, and for the first time, I'm looking at Xbone 1 games. I know, it's one of those things where you want a console, and you finally get it, and then you don't buy anything on it. I'm looking, and I can't decide on anything, and therefore I don't actually get anything. It was one of those really frustrating times. I'm looking around and I just couldn't really see anything. There were Hitman games, sure, but I want the new Hitman on the PS5, and it's only £25, and I had that in credit, and it would have been just that one game that I picked up. Unfortunately, I'll talk about the credit in just a second, but I decided against it because it will eventually come down, and I don't want to pick up older Hitman games until I've played the newer one. And I know normally you would do it the other way around, especially with films, you'd go from the beginning to the end, but when it comes to Hitman, the new one just looks really good. And then once I get a love for the game, I don't mind going back and trying it out. The older ones are going to get more linear as you go. So yeah, I've got my own method and my own reasons. There were a few games that I wouldn't have minded picking up. Ghostbusters, for example, looks fun. There's two versions of this. There's the remastered, or a remastered version, and then of course there's the other one that we just picked up as well. A fair few games, you know, Red Dead I wouldn't mind getting on the did they do Red Dead, like just standard Red Dead Redemption on the Xbox One, or was it just the 360 and then Red Dead 2 came out? I can't remember, but either way there are a fair few games, like all the Forza games, I'd like to pick up. And, you know, Red Dead and things like that, wouldn't mind getting on the Xbox. I don't know why, there's certain consoles I want to play certain games on. Looking at all the Resident Evils, they're down on the second shelf. I need to decide what platform I'm going to get them on, because they are a little bit cheaper on Xbox One, but I'm thinking, at the moment anyway, picking them up on the PS4 makes more sense, because I'm running them on a PS5, which means they're going to run better. They're going to look a little bit better, but they're going to run smoother than running them on the original Xbox One. But I do need to sort of get it into my mind that I will eventually pick up a Series X. So is that really relevant? Looking at the Switch games, and it's the same old story, unfortunately. I want nearly all of them, but they're all too expensive. They had Borderlands 1 and 2 there. The really frustrating thing about certain Switch games, not all of them, but certain ones, because the cartridges only hold a certain amount, they don't hold, like, when they do like these game bundles, they give you Borderlands 1 and 2, only Borderlands 1 is on the cartridge. You then have to download Borderlands 2, but it's a one-time use code. So obviously, as a second-hand retailer, they can't guarantee that that code is still in use. Therefore, they can only advertise it as Borderlands 1, but you'll have the artwork for 1 and 2. So I don't really want that, even though I'd like to go and play some Borderlands. And look at some other stuff, there's some Wolfenstein things and whatever. But to be fair, on this occasion, I very nearly walked out with the one Wii U game you see in my hand. I couldn't really make my mind up. There was nothing like jumping out at me. There was a Sniper Elite just off shot in the top left that I was tempted by. There was a couple of like train simulator games that I don't know what's wrong with me and why I'm turning into that kind of person. But yeah, they kind of interested me slightly, but they were a little bit on the expensive side. Those games always hold their value. But anyway, we're back in the room. We can have a little look at the credit. They gave me £26. Frustrating. And I'll go through it. So, Lego Star Wars Force Awakens went down in price since yesterday. They gave me £6. And then we had the Jurassic World was £8. And then Dragon's Revenge was £12. Had to remember what it was called. And that gave us £26 that you see or maybe don't see there. Why only 26 and why not 50, I hear you cry? Is it because the Genesis game was indeed rejected because it was Genesis? No, they didn't offer me the boxed price for these two. They don't have the manuals, therefore they would come in as unboxed, which I have a complaint with, by the way, and we'll talk about that in a second. I was worried that this wasn't going to get taken in because it was a Genesis game. He didn't seem to have a problem with it, and this was the really fussy guy that I don't like going to because he rejects at least one thing that I give him. Yeah, didn't have a manual. It's going to be unboxed. Boxed, £12. Trade. Unboxed, £1.90. Yeah, I mean, I get it. A difference, I understand. You know, £5 difference, fine. You know, give me £6 for it. That's a £6 difference. I'm happy enough. I may have even I've done that. £1.90, I laughed. Toki, this is really frustrating, and not because of CEX. This does have the manual, almost in its entirety. But the person I bought it off, for some reason, had some sort of, like, fetish for eating the covers off manuals. Every game I picked up in that bundle, bar like 3 of them, had the manual, but it had been mauled, chewed up. So that, instead of trading in for 12, would have got in for 4. I wasn't happy with that because I think £12 is probably what I can sell it for. So I'm going to sell it. So Pac-Mania and Toki, going on eBay, will probably bring me 20 after fees. Which kind of brings me to the pickups, because the pickups actually cost me 28, not 26. So I paid £2 in cash. I know, I am mad. The reason that actually annoys me, though, that they take them in as unboxed. Do you remember when we picked up Sonic in California Games? Quite a while ago, might have been episode 3 or 4. And we bought them as boxed because I don't want to collect Mega Drive games unless they're boxed, right? That's fine. Everyone, each to their own. But I paid boxed price. They didn't come with the manuals. That means that they are selling boxed games without the manual, having taken them in as unboxed. That is very, very rude. I am not a fan of that. How can you give someone the unboxed price but then go and sell it as boxed? Very, very rude. Disrespectful. Not a fan of that at all. There are a load of games in my CEX, according to the stock file on the site, that are unboxed. I would be very curious to know if any of them actually do have the boxes or whether they are all unboxed, because that's not right, is it? That's morally not right to give someone an unboxed price but then to sell it boxed. Don't like that. Anyway, you've probably already seen it in my hand. One of the pickups was this. It is Super Mario 3D World, not to be confused with 3D Land on the 3DS. This is basically like a little updated, fleshed out version of that. You know, it looks a lot better, runs a lot better, and it's a game that I would very much like to play. They have not had this since I've been collecting everything, and they finally had it, and here I am. In fact, when I looked online, this was £10. It came down today by the looks of things. So for some reason, a Wii U game has dropped in price. I would say like a Wii U game has dropped in price as if Wii U games are expensive. They're not generally, but it is a little bit surprising now that we are a generation ahead of that. Generally what tends to happen is especially first party games, they tend to go up in price. That came down, which is interesting. Comes with a manual and everything, or whatever the inserts are. It's not a manual, but the inserts and the disc is really, really nice. And then one final pickup. Disappointing. We didn't get 50, we had 26, so I had to be a little bit creative. I was looking around for a little while, and I very nearly thought, I'm going to move this 18. I'm going to take it into next week because there's nothing I really want. What I'd planned to do with that 50 is pick up Super Mario 3D World. I was going to get a black GameCube, official GameCube controller. That would have taken me up to 33. And then with the 17, I was going to get 2 Tony Hawk games on the GameCube, and I was also going to pick up a Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube as well, which would have been bang on 50, I think, there or thereabouts. Maybe I wouldn't have picked up the Tony Hawk games, maybe I would have, I don't know. But either way, I would definitely have picked up the Resident Evil 4, which was a tenner, and I would have picked up the GameCube controller. That would have been 35, that would have been 43, we'd have had 7 left. So maybe I would have taken that into next week, I don't know. But either way, I saw this out of the corner of my eye just as I was about to go to the counter, and I wanted to play it for a little while. I think it's basically Theme Hospital. It is 2 Point Hospital, but this isn't the ordinary 2 Point Hospital. This is the Jumbo Edition, as you can maybe just about make out above the sticker. That means it has, I think, like 4 DLC packs: Bigfoot, Pebbly Island, Close Encounters, and Off the Grid. I loved Theme Park and Theme Hospital growing up, played them a lot. This looks very similar to Theme Hospital. I wouldn't say addicted, but I have a very strong urge to play City Skylines a lot recently, and I play it a lot. And I'll sit down and I'll play it for like 2, 3, 4 hours at a time, and then every time I go back to it, I don't carry on my city, I start a new one, because I don't know, I just like doing that. So I'm constantly playing it, and I want a game that's quite similar, but a little bit different at the same time, and I think this could be the one. But 20 quid on this, that was a lot of money, so £28 in total for those two, and I had to pay £2 in cash, but I'm going to take it away from the profit, or the projected profit that we're going to get for those 2 Mega Drive games. But I am going to go back to CEX very soon, and I'm going to ask to see every single Mega Drive game that they have there, and then I'm going to question why the ones that are boxed without the manual are selling for boxed prices. And I want to hear it from that guy's face, because I am not happy. Because when I bought them, I mean, they were grubby, they were in very poor condition, but I didn't question it, because I didn't have a reason to question it. But now that they won't take my games as boxed, but they'll sell them as boxed, now I'm pissed. Let's talk about Mega Drive stuff. So last week we picked up that Mega Drive bundle. We only got £12 trade out of it, which is actually very disappointing. But we are adding a lot to the collection, and you know, it's paid for itself already. We paid £34.69 for the whole thing, including delivery, which was insane. But on top of that, we picked up a boxed Mega Drive, which, okay, granted, I've got to pick up some controllers for it. I mean, I already have a controller, but, you know, for it to be complete, I need to pick up 2 controllers. They're like £4 or £5 each. I'm not bothered. And then I pick up all those games. There is a gap because I've got a game here that I'm going to talk about in a minute. And then I have other things to sell. So we need to make back £34.69 for this to pay for itself. The figure is actually £39.69 because, of course, I had to add the £5 for those 2 PS4 games that I've basically added onto this so that they get paid for as well. It had a total resale value of $330, so we're going to sort of keep that figure in mind right now, and I'm going to deduct everything from it that isn't going into the collection, and then whatever's left is going to be added to the collection value. So, 2 games that I've sold. I'm only going to sell another, well, technically now I'm going to sell another 4, because obviously Toki and Pac-Mania are going to be sold. That's going to be £20, I would have thought. California Games and Sonic are left to sell. They're about £10 between them. So £30 for Toki, Pac-Mania, Sonic and California Games. That is nearly our money back. However, you want solid money back, right? You don't want to be scraping the barrel with something like this. You want to make sure you have your money back. So, Dragon's Fury, the pinball game that goes with Dragon's Revenge that we traded in today, that sold for 15, gone. And then the big one, Truxian, I think it might be called. Is it Truxton or Trux? I think it's Truxian. That sold very quickly. They both sold over the weekend. Dragon's Fury and Truxian sold over the weekend with a 80% off final value fee as well, so I didn't pay hardly any fee on these, which was banging. I am gutted that not everything sold over the weekend with that in place, but still, it meant that we took nearly the full value of what we sold it for against the value of what we paid. So I think it sold for 50 and the other one sold for 15, so we're looking at 65 minus fees. We might be looking at about 60 quid. That pays for it all, pays for the PlayStation stuff, and it leaves me with profit with around £30 left to sell in those 4 games that I've already mentioned. Dragon's Revenge traded in for 12, of course, and that takes us down to £220. It's actually a little bit more, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but 220 quid. So that's going to stay in the collection for now. I just like the look of it. The more I walk past it, the more I look at it, the more I'm happy it's there. So it's going to stay. The boxed Mega Drive is staying. The games on the shelf, they are staying as well. One of those games that I genuinely didn't expect to keep, Hellfire. That is a game I'd never heard of before. I'd never seen anything of it. I tested every single Mega Drive game that I picked up in that bundle just to make sure that they worked before I sold them or tried to trade them or whatever. That took up an hour and 20 minutes of my time, and I didn't even realise it until I looked at the clock and I was like, oh my god, how long have I been sat here? That is a banger of a game. It's difficult, it's fun, I love it. Big fan, and I'm keeping it. The beauty of this, really, not only is it a fun game that I will 100% play again, the condition of it is incredible. It is so good. The insert is fantastic. The manual is banging. There's some curling to the corners, but there's no rips, there's no dents, there's no scrapes, there's no scratches, there's nothing. The label on it is brilliant as well. The whole thing is, dare I say, CEX Mint certified. I honestly think I could get a Mint trade-in for that if I went to a different guy, because that guy would trade it in as an unboxed SNES game, I guarantee it. So that's going to stay in the collection. I allocated £50 to this when I did the video last week. I honestly, and I firmly believe this, and you can believe me if you want, that's up to you, I could get 80 for this. I guarantee it. I could get 80 for it all day long. It is fantastic condition. If I graded it, I probably wouldn't get a good grade, because you have to be basically in cellophane to get a good grade. But honestly, I think someone could take that into a grading place and get a decent enough grade on it, considering it's been out in the open, it's been played, it's been opened and stuff. So yeah, very, very confident I could get 80. Why am I telling you that? Because I'm going to add an extra amount onto it? No, I am not going to add any more onto it. £220 is fair. If I've overvalued anything, just know that this is being massively undervalued. That's going to go back on the shelf. We're adding those 2 to the collection. Hellfire goes in the collection with the rest of the Mega Drive stuff. Toki and Pac-Mania, unfortunately, are going to be sold. And I am going to go and have it out with the CEX staff about trading things in as unboxed and selling them as boxed. But that's going to do it for today. If you have enjoyed that episode, do me a favour and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and until the next time, goodbye.